Hello, 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 and welcome back to Conversations with JR. Summer has finally arrived. I'm living in New York City, and we've been having rain, 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 rain. So, we're in the latter part of June. Summer has officially arrived. I am sorry, people, but I am enjoying this heat. And I hope that you are too in a safe way. And make sure you're staying hydrated. Today's relationship topic centers around the question: what contributes to couple partnership, marriage, situationship, wherever you find yourself? What contributes to them growing apart? Growing apart. That is not something that we think about when we are talking about relationships, because again, when we come together, we agreed to come together in a relationship, in a partnership. Most of the time, people are hoping for a long lasting union. But what happens over the course of time when couples, partners, find themselves slowly drifting apart? I'd often think about that because you hear people who've been married 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And when you ask them what happened, they said, oh, we grew apart. We had different interests. We had different directions that we wanted the relationship to go, or our individual lives to go, and it just did not happen. So, what I would like to talk today is I am going to look at this subject of couples growing apart from three different views. So what I did was I went around and I interviewed and I asked three different people. I threw the question out there, and they gave me their scenario about why they feel, what contributes to couples growing apart. And then I'm going to bring my research to you, like I always. So I always like to give you the latest research. So, my first scenario that I'm talking about is from a young man who is married. He's married and he has two sons. And he said, this is from a male's perspective, that he feels that the things that contribute, some factors that contributes to a couple growing apart is, he said, number one, children. The marriage, the partnership is not the same after people have children. That's not necessarily a negative thing, but if you think about children, think about what the partnership was before you had the children. You had time for each other. You had time for date night, date night, date night. You had time to do whatever you wanted to do as a couple at your leisure. Now the children are here, and the children demand certain attention. And a lot of the times the focus is on juggling the children, the house, the careers, and the partners get less attention. He said, number two, partners letting themselves go. Now, I know this is a really, really big issue with a lot of people, because a lot of people often say that my partner needs to love me or accept me as I am. This is what he is talking about, the gentleman that I interviewed. If you met me and I'm a size 8, over the years, of course, my body is going to change. But we are talking about completely letting yourself go physically. You don't put yourself together anymore the way you used to when you first was in your partnership. I know a lot of things get in the way, but a lot of people make excuses. Oh, I've had children. Okay. And over time, I understand that you have children and your body changes. But what a lot of people are looking at is that you let yourself go and you did not think about your partner, and you did not think about maybe your partner will find you less attractive. I am speaking truth here. I am seriously speaking truth. It goes both ways. It goes both ways for men and women. Men are walking around here with these bellies that look like they're 9 months out. That's not very attractive. And sometimes that puts distance in couples in their intimacy. Number three, he also talked about the physical, the intimacy. The intimacy isn't as hot and heavy, and as spontaneous as it used to be in the beginning of the partnership, in the beginning of the relationship. And my question is anybody trying to do anything about, rekindling that fire? Over time, intimacy becomes a chore. It becomes something that you just do. It becomes a duty. Let's just do this and get this over with. But in the beginning, when you first met and over a course of years, it got creative and people got creative and you were interested in trying maybe new things. But this also contributes to people physically letting themselves go. And then your partner isn't interested in you intimately. And partners grow apart. Number 4, from our married male that I interviewed, and he has 2 children. He said the 4th reason from his perspective why contributes to partners growing apart is lack of support. Lack of support in any area of your partner's life, whether they want to go back to school, whether they want to change careers, whether they want to open a business, just lack of support. Getting back to letting yourself go, and if you want to go on a diet, you want to go on a gym, and you want your partner's support. Not your partner's approval, but you want your partner's support. And you get that, oh, you look good just the way you are. You're lying, first of all. You're lying. But your partner is coming to you and saying to you, I would like for you to support me in this. And the lack of support brings a distance. It helps you to grow apart because that means that you are not interested in what it is that I want. I'm not asking you to join me if you don't want to, but I'm asking you for your support. So there you have it from a married male perspective. The second person that I interviewed was 2. It was 2 single young ladies who had previously been in, separate relationships. And so I asked them the question, what do you think contributes to couples growing apart? They both said it at the same time, I swear. They said it. Communication. Or lack of communication. And if you've been following Conversations with JR, you know that I've done different videos about communication and a lack of communication. Men, grunting at your wife or your partner isn't communication. Saying whatever you want or saying, I'll go along, whatever, that's not communication. A lack of good, open communication causes couples to drift apart. Because guess what? Your significant other is out there talking to someone else about the things that you don't want to hear about. A lot of men say all she wants to do is talk, 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 talk. I'm tired of hearing her talk. I'm tired of hearing her talk. Well, think about the next time you say that, the reason why you grew apart, and the reason why he or she is out there having conversations with someone else. Number 2, and this is for my 2 single ladies, number 2, arguments. Not the normal disagreements. We are talking about heated, bickering arguments that just continue and continue and continue and continue and continue. And you're arguing about everything. You're arguing about the sock on the floor. He closed the door. She opened the blinds and let the sun in. Oh, you forgot to close the refrigerator. I mean, just bickering about it. Any little thing. That constant argument will drive a couple apart. And then they said, lack of trust. I don't know how to really go into that because lack of trust could be a lot of things. Infidelity could have been involved, that you don't trust your partner anymore. You could have lied to your partner, hidden information from your partner, and there's a lack of trust. Of course, that's going to drive people apart. Number 4, they also said lack of attention. And that goes back to lack of support. If you are not paying your partner attention and giving your partner a certain amount of attention, of course they're going to go someplace else and get it. Now, I'm not saying everybody does that. Hear me out. But if you're not paying the person in your life that you call your significant other, your partner, for whatever situation that you find yourself in, they're going to go out and find someone who pays them that attention. And it doesn't have to be people, you have dirty minds. It does not have to be that they're going out sleeping with someone. It could be they want someone to sit and talk to. They want to go out and have coffee. They want to go out and have drinks. They just want someone to pay them attention. You're not complimenting your partners. Babe, that looked good. Or your hair looks nice. That haircut looks good. That color looks good on you. It looks like you're losing a little bit of weight. That looks good on you. You're just not paying them any attention, and you're off into your own little world. The last perspective of what contributes to couples growing apart is from a woman who's married, a good friend of mine who's married. She has one teenage son. And she gave me a really, really good perspective of that. When people are growing apart, they need to look back and figure out why they formed the partnership in the first place. What does this in the beginning look like for us? When people go back, she says, take a look back. She says, because first of all, was there a firm foundation established for this relationship? Or you just came together because certain circumstances threw you together? Getting knocked up, getting pregnant and not, talking about kids. Or you just thought that it would be a good idea and that you thought that you would make a good couple. So you decided to just go ahead, bond, married, form this partnership, and then later on you just figure out that you look at this individual and you start checking things off the list that you don't like about this individual or that you're not compatible with. So this is what she says, these are the aspects of you really didn't get to know each other's lives. And this could be an aspect of why couples grow apart. Another thing that she said is that when couples find themselves drifting apart, are they paying attention? Or is the drifting apart an excuse not to really be present in the relationship the way that you should be? And is that an excuse to get out of the partnership? Is that an excuse to get out of the partnership? I always like to say that, compatibility is a very important aspect of being in a relationship. Compatibility really is an important part of being in a relationship. But I know that in my last partnership, what really made us grow apart, and, I started pulling back, and he wasn't paying attention. Either he wasn't paying attention or he was just hoping that things would change. And what made me start pulling back and detaching was, first of all, lack of support for a career move that I wanted to make that was going to be really good, not only for me, but for us, financially as a couple. Lack of support. Not so much of lack of attention, but lack of good communication. Really lack of good communication, because when we did get to sit down and start talking, he only wanted his feelings, me, I feel, I think. It was always, we started off by talking about what and it always ended up with, I feel, I think, I want, I need. I heard that a lot from him. And when your spouse hears that from you, your partner hears that from you, they back away. Because it's always their needs, their wants, how they see it, their perspective. And that also drives an emotional wedge between people. We were establishing a foundation for our relationship. But for me, another thing that made me start backing away was that he wanted things to happen too fast that takes a lifetime to build. And he also was comparing me. This is a huge factor. and why, for me, couples drift apart. He kept comparing me and our relationship to what he was seeing other people do. And he kept comparing me to, or bringing in, and I kept hearing it over and over. This is what so-and-so's wife is doing for him. And this is what so-and-so's girlfriend is doing for him. And they're always together and this and that and other. And I kept hearing that over and over and over. You know, that's a really bad thing to do when you're in a partnership. And you're looking on the outside and you're bringing to your partner what you're witnessing, because then you're making them feel like they are not doing their part to create harmony and happiness in the relationship. So that causes a drift between partners. Now, here we go. 7 signs you are drifting from your spouse, or your spouse is drifting from you. And this came from ourpeacefulfamily.com. So I always like to do my research and bring it to you. So 7 signs you are drifting from your spouse. And it comes from, if you want to read more, ourpeacefulfamily.com. Sign number 1, that you are drifting from your spouse, or your spouse is drifting from you. You don't care to sit down and talk with your spouse. There's the communication. You don't even want to sit down and talk to them. Number 2, you feel a disconnect in the areas of your marriage. Intimacy, communication, it could be anything, but you find that there is a disconnect in the area of your partnership. Number 3, sex. You dread, as a couple, having it. It's a chore, it's a duty, or you're not satisfied. You're not satisfied. For of course, physically you don't want to be with your partner. Number 4, you get irritated or annoyed frequently with your spouse. And that leads to the arguments, or that leads to lack of communication, or that leads to your spouse not even wanting to come home. Number 5, you miss doing things with your spouse. And that's a major sign when slowly, not all of a sudden, when slowly your spouse start being disinterested in things that used to bring you guys joy and happiness together as a couple. You need to take a look at that. You feel your marriage is coming to an end. Or number 6, you feel something is missing in the marriage. Of course something is missing in a partnership. Your partner is drifting apart from you. So they are disconnecting emotionally, they're disconnecting physically, they're disconnecting communication. So, I am going to end with that. And I'm hoping that, I always hope that the conversations that I have with you, my viewers, and thank you so much. People are subscribing, people are liking, people are watching, people are sharing. Sharing is always caring, okay? And share in a way where you're letting the people know that you're sharing my videos with, that you care about them in the situation that they're in. So I am hoping that today's conversation, today's relationship topic, what contributes to partnerships, marriages, situationships, what contributes to spouses drifting apart. I'm hoping that you're paying attention. Pay attention to what's going on in your partnership. Pay attention to what's not going on in your partnership. And I hope that you can sit down and have some good conversation. Watch JR have conversations. Let us heal these dysfunctional, I always say that, and these broken relationships, one relationship at a time, by doing what? Having good conversation. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.